Yes, it's time for our halftime show, and tonight we have the Smothers Brothers Marching Band doing a tribute to the old and the new. And now the band will first form a steamship symbolizing the new era of transportation. As a tribute to our space program, the band will now form a space capsule approaching the surface of the moon. Now, in special salute, a pictorial depiction of the sinking of the Titanic. The card section, in conjunction with the Smothers Brothers Marching Band, will now complete our halftime festivities with the Smothers Brothers signature stunt and band spellout done to the famous Smothers theme.
Now, I like that show. I genuinely like that show. And that the fable for our times, what impressed me seeing this again was Nelson Riddle's arrangement. It was totally scored. David Fry was brilliant playing Hubert Humphrey, George Wallace.
I loved him in the windows, Lyndon Johnson, too.
Lyndon Johnson, Richard Nixon. And the huge set and all the dancers and the music, and Liberace's wonderful. He just was a charming, charming performer. And David Fry looked so young and so fresh. And there's a lot of impressionists around now, but David Fry at that time was the best.
Yeah. Well, Pat Paulson was always always there, too.
I thought that's subtle. The last little thing. Pat Paulson.
So underplayed.
Underplayed it, pushes out, picks his sword up, puts it and wanders off. This was a neat thing about the show, that the writers were finally acknowledged for their good writing.
Yeah, of all the shows we did, this was a real gratifying thing for the writers, because I think they were the hardest working group in creative and youngest.
And they finally got it right on this show.
Yes, they finally got it right.
And they were finally given an award, an Emmy for the best writing on a variety, comedy, or musical special. And they were very happy. And they all got these little wonderful things. And this was a show, I think, that was worthy of an Emmy.
The particular show, that one particular episode that won the Emmy, was a very special show. And it was written during a tremendous rainstorm that we had here. And it was written literally overnight, because we had some problems. We often had problems where we were writing at the last minute, and I had to get the staff in. I couldn't get anybody in. And I phoned Bob Einstein and Steve Martin, lived in the same house, like an apartment, like a building, a house, a triplex or something, a duplex. And I called them and said, I need you guys to come in. I mean, we've got to write this show.
And that was a lot of fun, because Liberace hadn't been played with on television before. You know, he had this image, and we really tore it up, and he was great with it. Very funny and very agreeable, and it was really a great show.
The big comedy variety shows of the era were Laugh-In and the Smothers Brothers, and Laugh-In had won Best Comedy Variety Musical Emmy 2 years in a row. And they started to announce the show at the Santa Monica Civic, and as they opened the envelope, the Laugh-In guys were starting to get up. They were half on their feet when they announced Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour. And we got to kind of jump up and sprint down the aisle past them and mill around on stage. I think there was a huge number of us. And we had gotten a telegram from the Emmy, from Television Academy, saying, pick one person to give your thanks, you know, because you can't burden the audience with lengthy thank yous. So I think Alan Bly said thanks. The rest of us nodded and smiled and waved, got into limousines.
1968-1969 Television Academy Awards, Outstanding Writing Achievement in Comedy, Variety, or Music. Alan Bly, Bob Einstein, Carl Gottlieb, Cy Howard, Steve Martin, Jerry Music, Murray Roman, Cecil Tuck, Paul Wayne, and Mason Williams. The Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, February 16th, 1969, CBS. And believe me, even though I was reluctant to show this, boy, am I proud of this.
We hope this comedy hour brought back some pleasant memories, and if you weren't around back then, maybe you learned a little bit about what the world and TV were like in 1969.
We'll see you next time with another Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour.